Hi, welcome to a Feld video in standing. Just take a moment to stand on the floor and notice any heavy contact under your right foot. And take a moment to examine any areas of heavy contact under your right foot. And then notice any light contact under your right foot. Where is there lighter contact, or is there? And feel for shifts as you're looking. Things may start to move or shift. Feel for areas of no contact under your right foot. And then begin to shift your weight onto your right foot, coming onto your left heel. So we're shifting the weight onto the right foot, coming onto the left heel. And notice, what shape does your spine make as you come onto the left heel to then come onto the right foot. Feel that shifting of weight as you take your weight to the right foot and come onto your left heel. And now shift your weight onto the right and lift everything but your left toes. So you're coming onto your right and lifting everything but your left toes. Again, what shape does your back make now? How is it a little bit different? Shifting the weight onto the right, coming onto left toes. And now lift your whole left foot to bring the weight onto the left. And come back. And you just shift your weight onto the right foot and come back. If you don't want to lift the whole left foot, you can just imagine lifting the whole left foot. Lifting the left foot. And how far right do you need to shift to get there? How far right do you need to go to lift your left foot? Do you need to shift far to the right, or can you just lift the left foot? Notice how you do it. And pause for a minute. And then begin to feel the pressure under your left foot, noticing areas of heavy contact, noticing areas of light contact, and areas of no pressure. Feeling the contact of your whole left foot, begin to shift the weight onto your left foot by coming onto the heel of the right foot. And notice what shape your back makes to do this. Coming onto the left foot by coming onto the heel of the right. And feeling the shape that you make as you do this. Noticing, do you have to shift really far to the left, or is there another way? Can you find different ways to do it? And let's come onto the right toes now. So the right toes, as you come onto the left foot, all the weight comes onto your right toes, but most of your weight is on your left foot. So we're going to shift to the left as we come onto the right toes. Noticing what shape your back makes and how far do you have to go to your left, or do you have to go to your left? Let's try lifting the whole foot now. So as we lift our whole foot, we just notice we have to go to the left, come back down. You don't have to lift it as far as I am, you can lift it just a little bit. So notice how far you want to lift the foot and where you want to put your foot, and how far left you go as you lift that foot. And then pause and feel the contact of both your feet. And now we're going to go back and forth. So we're going to shift our weight onto the right side and come up onto the left heel, and then shift onto the left foot and come up onto the right heel. So we're just going back and forth, shifting the weight to one side, coming up on the opposite heel, and then doing the opposite. Switching from side to side. Now let's do toes. As you come onto one side, lift the opposite toes. And just feel for differences, just noticing. Notice where it's clear when you shift the weight over one leg. Where is it really clear that there's contact? And let's see even more. Let's lift the opposite leg if you can. Just noticing you have clear contact over the leg that is supporting the weight. Going back and forth, lifting one leg and then the other. And then pause that and take a moment to walk around. And as you walk around, you can just take a few steps in your space. It doesn't have to be far. Notice what parts of the foot you're walking on. And are you walking on those parts of the foot that you thought were heavy in the beginning? Notice as you walk which parts of your feet do not touch the floor. And notice if you spend more time on one foot than the other. If you listen to it like a rhythm, is it a little bit slower on one side than the other? And feel up into your body for shifts, noticing where you hold. And coming back. And now let's shift the weight to the front of the feet and then the back of the feet. You can do whatever you'd like with the arms. We're just going to see how this feels to shift the weight to the front of the feet and the back of the feet. And notice how you do it. Are there different ways you could do this? And then pause and come back to one foot gets the weight, the other one has the heel lifting, and just notice how that is now. And could you lift the heel of the foot that's lifting and turn the toes in toward the other leg and just see how that feels? The weight goes on the leg and the other leg turns the toes in but stays on the heel only. Just see if that's a possibility. You might notice your feet getting further apart like mine. And then just pause for a moment in standing. Notice the difference on each foot, and then begin to walk on your heels. So take a moment to walk around on your heels. You can walk in place or you can actually walk around, but you're gonna walk on your heels. And just notice how that is. It might be very heavy contact. Walking on your heels, feeling how that is, and then go ahead and walk on just your feet and then notice the difference. Coming back to standing, shift the weight to the toes and ball of the feet, where the heel doesn't have to lift, but the weight isn't back there. And notice, what does your pelvis do? So come back to neutral again, shift the weight to the toes and balls. Notice what the pelvis does, and do that one more time. What does your pelvis do when you shift the weight to the toes and the balls of the feet? Walk on the toes and the balls of your feet for a moment, and just notice how that is. Walking around on the toes and balls of the feet. And then walk normally and just see how that is. How is it after walking on the toes and balls of your feet? Come back to the middle. So you can see me, we're going to go to the outsides of the feet. And as we do this, we're really going to emphasize the arch of the foot. So we're coming to the outsides of the feet and we're emphasizing the arch. So it's almost like if we emphasize the arch a little bit, we could stand on the outsides of our feet. See if that's something that feels possible. The knees go away from each other. You come to the outsides of the feet. And now try walking on the outsides of your feet. And just notice how it is to walk on the outsides of your feet. How far do you go to the outsides of your feet? You can go as far as you can go. And just notice how you do this and go slow. And maybe go even slower. Are you standing on the outside edges with the heels and the foot? Are there parts of the outside edges missing? Pause in standing and notice any differences. And then walk normally and look for differences as you walk normally. You still feel the echoes of walking on the outsides of your feet. And does it change where the weight is on your feet? Notice the direction your knees are pointing as you walk. And the organization of your pelvis, of your hips. Come back to the middle and pause. And now just try bringing the weight on one foot and the other foot. And just notice how that's going now. And now let's walk backwards. We're going to go super slow. So we're going to walk backwards. And just take a moment to walk backwards in your space. And go slow. Feel the pathway of how you walk backwards, super slow. So use the toes as antennas to feel around. So when you're taking a step back, you can use your toes to start to feel the ground and feel for where to step. As you step back, use your toes each time. Your toes feel back for the ground behind you, and then the foot can step. Using your toes as antennas, walking backwards. Take your opposite shoulder backwards with the foot. So if my right foot's coming back, the opposite shoulder is coming back. And then when my left foot is going back, my right shoulder is going back. And that helps me balance. Taking the opposite shoulder back as the foot that is reaching behind with the toes to help you go backwards. And take a moment to coordinate that. So you can look behind you as you need to, especially as you're turning with the shoulder. And now, continuing this motion, either lift the toes or the heels. It's up to you. You decide which one you're going to lift as you go backwards. You're walking now on only toes or heels. You can forget some of the other parts of it. That's okay. You might want to try both going backwards. Walking backwards on either toes or heels. Notice how this is for you. And now walk backwards regularly. And now take the same side shoulder back with the foot that's stepping back and see how that is. It's going to be a little bit different as though your whole side is going back and then the other whole side is going back. So you're taking the same side shoulder and hip back with you as you step backwards. So you're going backwards with the same side. And just notice if this is different to walking backwards. Now go back to taking the opposite shoulder back with the foot. Still walking backwards. Opposite shoulder goes back with the foot. Opposite shoulder goes back with the foot. And just see if you can coordinate that. If my left foot is coming back, my right shoulder is going to also go back. And if my right foot's going back, my left shoulder is going back. So opposite or cross body. Feel the counterbalance as you're shifting with your upper body. And then come to rest and standing and just notice how you stand. You can always come back to lifting each foot, or you can take the standing to rest for a moment. We're going to spend some more time walking. Just have a little space. You don't need much. So first start out by walking normally. And it won't help to watch me, even though I'm walking, just so I can demo. How do you walk normally? What is your normal walk? What do you think it is? Approximate it. And then walk in a different kind of way. What could you do to change that walk? Could you stride differently? Move something differently? How could you walk differently than you already do? Just figuring out how can you walk differently. What's something you can do that's different? And then start to walk in a dancey way. So whatever a dancey way looks like to you, don't look at me because I'm in my own world, but your dancey way of moving you. And walk that way, walking in a dancey way. Now walk in an excited way. How do you walk when you're excited? Try walking like that for a moment. Think about how excited you are. Just imagine the feeling and walk as though you're excited. And see how that feels. How does it feel to walk when you're excited? Feel the feeling in the body. Now walk in a timid way. So think about being timid and how you walk if you were feeling timid. Walk in a timid way. I'm going to get really specific with the language here because timid is different than shy. Now walk in a shy way. How would you walk if you were shy? I was once shy. I remember how I walked. Feel what comes with that. What do you do with your head, your body? What do you do when you're shy? How do you walk in a shy way? And now walk in a fearful way. So walk in a way where you're fearful. How do you walk when you're fearful? Maybe it's quick, depends on the fear. Walk in a fearful way just for a moment. And now let's walk in a sneaky or mischievous way. So how would you walk if you were being sneaky or mischievous? I have to think about this, I don't know. But how would you walk if you were being sneaky or mischievous? What would you do? And now let's try walking in a happy way. So just as you're happy, how do you walk when you're happy? Maybe this is your regular walk, being happy. See how you feel when you walk as you're happy. How do your hands move? How does your breath breathe you? How is your posture? Now let's walk in a silly way. So whatever silly feels like to you. I love that you're doing these lessons at home. You don't have to worry about anyone watching you, so you can fully let go and be silly. Whatever silly is to you, walk in a silly way. And now, lastly, let's walk like it's the best day of your life. Best day of your life. Walk that way. It's the best day of your life. Don't imagine it. Feel it in here. How does it feel in here when, oh my gosh, it's the best day of my life? How does it feel? Say it to yourself. It's the best day. And see what your body does as you walk. It's the best day. Notice how your heart is. We're going to do a couple more. So we're just going to walk in a ridiculously silly way. So we already did silly. Now just ridiculously silly. How do you walk in a ridiculously silly way? All right, let that go. Walk normally. Just walk normally. And notice what you sense as you walk now. Notice as you rest in standing, how you feel. Come back to standing for a moment. And make sure you have room to do 5 steps forward and 5 steps back. So from here, we're going to walk 5 steps forward on our heels and 5 steps back. And just feel what the rest of the body is doing. So we're walking 5 steps forward on our heels and 5 steps back, about. Walking forward on the heels, walking back on the heels. What is the rest of the body doing? How is the difficulty level? Just notice. Pause and rest in standing and notice how your feet come to stand and feel pretty supportive. Much bigger surface. Let's do the same thing on our toes. Walking 5 steps forward on our toes and standing. And back. And notice if this is easier than it was on your heels. Just want to mention this is one of the most amazing after effects after this lesson. But first, just walking on the heels. I mean, not the heels, the toes. Heels are lifted. And observe where your weight goes. Does it go to the outside, the foot, the inside, right in the middle of where the toes are. Pause that, rest in standing. Rest longer anytime you need. We're gonna come to the outsides of our foot and walk 5 steps forward on the outsides of our foot and 5 steps back. And now notice here, if the toes and heels are both pressing on the outsides of the foot, feel the knees go a little more to the outside. Just like me, maybe you're struggling to find a straight forward and backward. That is normal. We're walking on the outsides of our foot only. How the whole body responds is really important. Notice that. And then come back and pause for a minute and feel your feet. Notice the contact under them. Let's come to the insides of the foot. It's almost like you're pigeon-toed. We're on the insides of the foot, and we're gonna walk on the insides of the foot, forward and back. Now, if you're wondering why you've never had an exercise program before that's been this weird, it's because it's so effective. Once people finally come to realize this is an awesome method for everything, they get really excited, but you have to get through the weird first, which is why I'm here to present it to you. So feeling this weird, awkward walking on the inside of your feet, it should also be a bit difficult. Just come back and notice how you feel over your feet. Rest for a moment in standing. We just did a lot of walking. And notice the heavy places of both feet, the lighter places of both feet, and any places that are lifted in your feet. And start to walk again and notice as you walk normally, are you more joyful or happy? Is there a difference? Can you walk as though you're joyful or happy, or do you feel that already in you? And now dance around as you walk. Just do a little dance. Any kind of dance you want is fine. That is the whole lesson. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you feel amazing over your feet today and that your feet are spread out so you can now feel so much more on the ground. Thanks for joining me.